One of the things that we have been doing is amplifying the voices of business leaders in Tallahassee and in City Council and County Commissions, because for them it really has become a very vivid bottom line issue. And one of the people at the very forefront who serves on the board of a coalition called Florida Businesses for a Competitive Workforce, one of the very first companies that joined Equality Means Business, please join me in welcoming to the stage John Tonnison of Tech Data.
Thanks, Nadine, and good afternoon too. I certainly stand for Tech Data as a company that wholeheartedly believes in the pure moral rightness and the economic correctness and value of diversity and inclusion, and our partnership with Equality Florida is a vital part of our taking that message to market, taking that message to Tallahassee. We are with the company that probably you haven't heard of, but we're actually Florida's second largest public company, behind World Fuels down here in Miami. You haven't heard of us because our business is hidden. It's designed to be behind those that bring technology to you, standing behind resellers, retailers, e-tailers, and the like. But we are the country's 107th biggest company. We're a huge technology company, and happen to be headquartered across in Tampa, Florida. However, most of our associates and most of our business is everywhere in the world, other than Florida in many senses. Our headquarters is here, our senior corporate offices are all here, but our employees are across 25 different countries around the world. Equally, it's vitally important that we're taken credibly by the titans of the technology industry, who unfortunately, not many of them anymore are out of Florida, which is a very sad thing. The PC was invented here in Boca Raton in the IBM labs back in the day, but Florida isn't considered a tech state, much to the challenge of those of us who are employing and needing technical talent here. So we need to be credible as an organization and as a company to the very partners that we take to market, who typically are inventors out of the Asian markets or the innovators out of the West Coast. So absolute onus on us to bring to the game open-minded, broad, inclusive thinking employees and partners, and that's why for us it makes complete sense. It is just good for business, as well as being what we fundamentally as a leadership team believe is morally right, that our employees and their families and friends are treated fairly and equally, not just in the workplace. We, of course, are one of the very many employers in the state who have recognized non-discrimination, embraced non-discrimination rules for gender identity and expression for many years. But it isn't just about where our employees work. It's about where their families also work. It's about where their kids go to school, the churches they're in, and the communities that they live in. For them to want to be in Florida, to stay in Florida, to come to Florida, requires them to have an attitude and an opinion on this market as being embracing and welcoming. We are now, I think, we're the third largest state in the country, but I think we all know that we're probably not seen in anywhere near the top of the ranking in being the most progressive and welcoming states. And that's a mission that we all need to commit to, continue to commit to. Tech Data will do its part for sure, and Equality Florida is a vitally important vehicle in that. We're also at HRC, the Corporate Equality Index mentioned. We're very proud to have now enjoyed 10 years at the 100% mark there. That journey started with our founder, who back in the 90s, long before it was fashionable, was inculcating anti-discrimination and same-sex partner benefits into our mandates. At the time they got local press attention, but not particularly positive press attention, but because he absolutely felt that it was the right thing to do. And if you've ever heard him speak, a guy called Steve Raymond, Steve speaks about it in a very clear way, simply because he was he married. He's a Californian white Jewish man who married a Dominican Catholic lady and has kids who he was very, very clear and vocal, saying he could not imagine a situation in education or in the workplace or in the community at any point where his kids would be denied access or treated differently just because they didn't look the same, didn't sound the same, they didn't have the same beliefs. So he took that very, very personal view and expression and turned it into the mandates and the substance of a company culture that has lasted for us for a long time. I get to spend a lot of time around the organization talking to associates, about 10,000 people. And something that has sparked my interest and intrigued me in commentary recently is the idea that cultural intelligence and acceptance is absolutely linked from vertical pillar to vertical pillar. So what I mean by that is when an employee is looking and considering coming to the company or moving to the state, they're not just looking for an indicator and policy to say, does the company support LGBT, for example? But instead they're looking at other indicators of progressive thinking around the company, things that are said and present in the community, and they're making connections between a number of different indicators of cultural intelligence, which strikes me to say that employees may well be reading signals from each of us and our companies and our communities that are way beyond merely support of a particular interest group or a particular equality cause, but recognizing that a company that is active and has ERGs in certain areas is likely to be more open-minded and inclusive. Meaning that our position on equality, our position on LGBT rights and anti-discrimination is actually influencing far more groups than just that group. Other minority groups, other interest groups, other groups that feel that they want to be an inclusive and embracive environment are taking a read from our participation in ERGs and in these kinds of causes and following that sideways to form an interpretation of the way that the leadership, the board of directors and the company will behave in areas that interest them. And I think that strikes really to the heart of the power of the title Equality Florida. Yes, an LGBT cause by foundation, but actually a far, far broader issue, far more impactful set of values and contributions. So in the last, Nadine and I were talking about this over the last couple of days. Back probably 2-3 years ago when I started spending some time with the group, and I think we did the second business lunch up there in Tampa back 2 years ago. I was talking a fair amount about some of the difficulty in attracting talent into Florida, particularly technical talent. And at the time, it was an occasional problem. It was probably impacting maybe 1 in 5 recruiting engagements, and often the sense was Florida is not necessarily a great place to come for technology job opportunities. So if I came to your company, what would happen if ultimately I then move on and go elsewhere? There was also a strong sense of this is not a tech state, this is not an open-minded state, this is not a forward-thinking state. A couple of days ago we were chatting, and I would say since the economy really started to reboot and generally improve throughout the nation, that's gotten more difficult. It's becoming more and more challenging for us to recruit and move senior talent into the Florida market, to the point where that starts to be an economic barrier and an economic burden. And with that reality, it is ever the more important that we further strengthen the brand of Florida, that we further build the credibility of Florida, that we are seen externally, outwardly to the country, to the world actually, as a powerhouse state worthy of the number 3 ranked position. But that needs to come with headlines and stories that aren't the crazies from Florida headlines that unfortunately are kind of the norm. But more of the progressive, making strides, taking a stand, and being seen to change the kind of the raw identity, the fundamental identity of the state that we love. It's an amazing state. To bring technology skills here gives the opportunity to do what you love and do it in a lifestyle with sun and sea and all of those. All of that should be a tremendous branding opportunity for us. But here we are, still with a tremendous amount of our state holding on to discriminatory practices or an enablement that's just at this point an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to it. There is no reason to not just get those on the statute, get it behind us, and declare to the rest of the country that Florida is open for business and is just open. That's why we stand with Equality Florida. So we'll continue to fight, and I hope this year we'll be up in Tallahassee representing also. So my sincere thanks to Equality Florida for what they do, and it makes our business better. So.